Hello and welcome to Money Matters. In the last several months, the metaverse has become big news, with Facebook claiming a stake in it, as well as companies like Louis Vuitton and Gucci entering the space. So what is the metaverse? It's basically Web 3.0, where the internet is more interactive. Online shopping will mean a virtual walk through the shops and seeing products in 3D. I finally got to travel after 2 long years to the metaverse. Welcome to the metaverse. This is Liberland, a micronation that exists in the real world as a 7-kilometer stretch of land between Croatia and Serbia.
Here that we are looking at, this is the city hall. This is where all are going to be made, so the avatars will come here.
While it's not recognized in the real world as a nation, its founder, a political activist, is creating a government, currency, and infrastructure in the metaverse.
In the future, what they are planning to do is to build this whole city in the real world as well. So everything that they are doing in the metaverse, it's serving 2 purposes. First of all, the citizens will be able to interact with each other and be together while the actual micronation is being built. And also proof of concept for them, because they can refine the buildings, they can modify them as they go.
And what's the cost of building something like this?
I would say a couple $1 million. It's less than $10 million for sure. Mm-hmm. But in the real life, this will be like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Jaime Lopez, co-founder of Metaverse, said his company started creating events in the metaverse last year, shortly after the pandemic shut down a lot of travel. Originally set up as a pre-visualization tool for companies to see what they were building in a virtual setting before committing to building in the real world, they pivoted to virtual events in real time and found success. Jeff Lowe, CEO of Asian Sky Group, held a trade show and conference in the metaverse for the air industry last September.
And we held our first event just in September of this year, which was a 3-day event. And the normal thing that you expect in any trade show, people walking the aisles and just bumping into people. And then also a conference as part of that as well, with a big auditorium.
With 1,200 unique visitors, it was less than their usual number. But Jeff said they considered it a success, as it was a first for them and many of their clients and visitors in the metaverse.
The objective, again, of giving people the opportunity to get together and just have what would seem like a natural interaction, we were able to accomplish that.
With that, I invited myself to Jeff's bubble in the metaverse for my first travel in 2 years. Can I check out your conference hall and your auditorium in the metaverse?
I'll be happy to take you on a tour of the metaverse.
Hey, Jeff. Good to see you here.
Hi, Melissa. As promised, here we are in the lobby of metaverse.
This is a big lobby. In this metaverse, there is only one speed, running. So we took a quick tour around some of the spaces. Just outside the auditorium, you get a great view of this waterfall. And we entered a pretty impressive auditorium. I was hoping, since I was super fit and could run everywhere in this world, that I could leap onto the stage, but I was mistaken. And did people really notice the difference between being in a meeting here versus being in a Zoom meeting?
Oh yeah, totally. And that's partly because here, you're actually all sitting in a room together, where just like you and I are doing right now, I can turn to my left or turn to my right and see who I'm sitting next to. So you have that spontaneity here, which is what we all look for and where we get value from exhibitions and conferences.
Just like any trade show, there's rent to pay for exhibit booths. At this one, the price was 1/10 that of an in-person trade show. So what exactly are you paying for?
We took up space, and so we had to pay a fee for that allotment in the metaverse. And then there was also The metaverse people, the streaming, is another cost that you pay for. The customization, if you wanted to create your own special world as well, that had an added cost as well, because that would involve additional designers. I had a contract with the metaverse people, and so I was paying for the conference hall and the auditorium and everything else, but then the exhibitors, they paid for their booth.
Jaime says some of the real estate drivers in metaverse are different than the real world.
It's servers, the machines that are actually doing all the computing power behind it to keep the world alive. That's how we calculate it. So the more space you need, the more servers you need, the amount of players that you are going to bring, the more users you want to bring simultaneously, the servers needs to be more powerful too. Servers are going to be a commodity in the future.
Plane maker Dassault had a showroom built along with 3D replicas of their planes to show clients.
I found it very necessary because of this very abnormal situation of the COVID expanding worldwide and suppressing all transportation, no airline services, a lot of uncertainty into the healthy way of traveling in Asia and elsewhere. We need to make them certain that they will buy the right product, they will be supported, they will have a long-term relationship, and this doesn't come in a second. You need to have people seeing your face in your product, testing the product, sitting to realize that it's comfortable and able to make them okay for a 12-15 hours flight.
We popped over to their metaverse showroom and hopped on board a Falcon 6X corporate jet, which comes with a price tag of about $55 million US.
So, Jean-Michel, this is one of your latest planes. Can you tell me about it?
It's indeed our most recent plane that we have in the final stages of certification. It will be delivered new within the next few months. This airplane main characteristic is its extremely comfortable cabin, very wide, very tall, very long, which can accommodate up to comfortably 16 people.
They've had a few visitors to the jet and are currently in serious talks with one of them.
And we are still in negotiation with one of them, and a very hot negotiation, a person that is really worth dealing with in terms of the size of its company, but also it's very interested in concluding at some point soon. We may close the deal.
Michel says it doesn't quite meet the standards of an in-person experience, but given the situation, it's satisfactory.
There are many things that need still to be improved, and we know the way to make them better in the next time, but globally it was satisfying. You could go around the aircraft, you could not really touch it, not really smell it, but still you could see it and evaluate the proportions, the dimensions. You could enter the cabin and go down the aisle, the restrooms, or up to the flight deck, and it was very, very satisfactory.
He says that the convenience of being able to show clients around the virtual jet, while travel is prohibitive and they can't easily fly the jet over for demonstrations, makes it worth the investment. Plus, he expects the experience to be improved in the future.
This is the first iteration. What's the next? I mean, will we be wearing VR goggles?
Yes, the future is definitely going into and creating devices that are very light, that are only with a display system, a camera, and a Wi-Fi. By doing that, the goggles are going to become very, very light.
With the metaverse advancing seemingly at light speed, or at least crypto speed, we can expect interaction in this space to become more virtual and augmented reality immersive in a few years' time.
Total retail sales hit 31 billion Hong Kong dollars in November. The year-on-year rise of 7% was, however, lower than the analysts' expectation of 9.7%. The growth of valuable gifts such as jewelry, watches, and clocks slowed to 14%. Sales at supermarkets, meanwhile, dropped by 3.2%. Other categories such as food, alcohol, and tobacco also logged declines. For the first 11 months of last year, total sales gained 8.3%. Authorities attributed the expansion to an entrenched economic recovery and the consumption voucher scheme. Tesla smashed its own record, delivering over 308,000 vehicles in the fourth quarter. That was a rise of 70% year-on-year. The electric vehicle maker ramped up production in China even though competition rose, and regulatory pressure mounted following consumer complaints over product safety. Annually, Tesla delivered more than 936,000 vehicles in 2021, almost double from 2020.
When Money Matters returns, the property value to be found on Hollywood Road West. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Matters. Many expats prefer to live on Hong Kong Island, where rents are normally very high. But they've dropped amid the pandemic. Reporter Alice Khan explores the rental market on Hollywood Road.
Hollywood Road is filled with trinket and antique shops of all sorts. As one of the first paved roads in Hong Kong, Hollywood Road was completed in 1844 at the start of British colonial rule. The waterfront was much closer to the road than it is today. In those days, foreign merchants and sailors would sell the antiques and artifacts they collected from China. This is how the road became the de facto antique market of Hong Kong. Another landmark is the Man Mo Temple, where worshippers come to pray for good results in school examinations and, of course, for good business. It's also a favorite living area for expats.
I also like the old style around here. Character, yes. I collect antiques, but a lot of these are out of my price range. We've got everything around here. We've got the Western, the local restaurants. It's good. And so close to the MTR, Sheung Wan MTR, walking distance. It's perfect. The trams are there.
The flats in the area are more affordable than in Central.
It was cheaper. It's very close to Central, whereas if you take a place in Central, it's much higher. Again, just that little bit of a walk.
In the past 2 years, an expat exodus led to a cut in rents of around 5 to 10%. But as the economy recovers, the rents have rebounded but are still below their highs.
This area is doing better than other areas because the supplies of the residential units in this area, which is not very substantial, and mostly since early 2021, the banking and the financial industry has started to recover. And this has strengthened the affordability and the demand from the young expat working in the central area. So the residential market over here actually is seeing a quite strong recovery since early 2021.
Most of the residential buildings here are about 50 years old. There are only 2 relatively newer buildings. This week, we explored this 15-year-old project. Over 50% of the residents are expats. It has 2 blocks providing 387 units. The flats range in size between 360 square feet to 1,800 square feet. Currently, the asking rent is $52 to $66 per square foot. The flat we visited is 813 square feet. The efficiency is low at 74%. The landlord is asking $43,000 per month, or about $52 per square foot, the lowest one in the project. We started by checking the layout of the apartment.
Jackie, how big is this living area?
It's about 204 square feet.
It's quite a lot of space, and also it's quite elongated. Is it practical?
It's not too difficult to lay out the furniture in this unit.
The dining area is close to the entrance.
You can put probably a dining table for 4 people.
Can we accommodate 6 people?
I don't think so. I would say 4 people will be more comfortable to move around. And then also there's a big wall here. You can hang a large pictures on the wall.
Then can you show me how do we lay out the living area?
Okay, this way please. So you could put a L-shaped sofa here, then a small coffee table in front of the sofa. But of course, you can't put a too big coffee table instead of, otherwise you block the entrance of the balcony behind. And then obviously you can put a TV on the wall and some bookshelf on the wall as well.
As the living area is not too big, it can only fit a sofa for 4 people.
What's the view?
You could see the Four Seasons Hotel from here, and you can see this tall building, the center. It's very close to this building, so as I said, this building is very close to Central, and you can see that little bit sea view from here as well.
The size of the balcony is quite reasonable. It can fit a small table and chairs. The flat has 3 bedrooms. The first bedroom is 67 square feet.
Can we put a king size or queen size bed?
I don't think so. I would say double bed will be more fit for this room, since the wardrobe's always taking some space here.
The bedroom has a large window that brings in a lot of light, making it look bigger. There's also a tiny sea view.
Then Jackie, it has a bay window. How can we make use of the bay window?
In this particular room, you only can put probably some cushion or some belongings on the bay window. Unfortunately, you can't make use of it.
Can you explain why?
Because of this beam, you can quite. Some people they might make use of bay window by enlarge the bed, but since there is a beam here, you can enlarge the bed. So I would say this bay window you can't really make use of it.
Then there's the even smaller second bedroom.
This room is only 47 square foot.
You can't put a double bed here?
No, you only can put a single bed here. So when the tenants has friends come over from overseas, they who want to stay overnight, so who could use this room as a guest room, or turn this room into office, like at the current market situation, a lot of people who work from home, so can turn this room into the office as well.
Then we checked out the master bedroom. It has a very wide window for a bright outlook.
Well, this room is quite large. How big is it?
About 150 square foot in this room. You could put a king size bed, no problem, and then you still have a room to walk around the bed. Plus, you can put a trash drawer beside the bed at this corner. And since this room can offer a lot of storage for the tenant, and plus the landlord provide this wardrobe for the tenant.
The ensuite bathroom is a decent size.
And quite nice decorate. It has the a lot of glass cabinet, and also the jacuzzi and the waterproof TV. It's quite unusual in Hong Kong.
The kitchen is about 33 square feet. It has electrical appliances like a grill and fridge, but no oven.
And Jackie, now the landlord is asking $43,000 rent. Then did she increase the rent?
Yes, she has increased $5,000 since the previous tenants paid $38,000 about a year ago. The renting market is getting better, and then that's why she adjusts the rent.
Then now the rent is reasonable.
I would say so. Since this unit can go up to 50,000 before the COVID, since the market is getting better eventually, so I would believe it will reach up to 50,000 in one day.
Amenities-wise, the building has a clubhouse and it is well managed. It also has a parking lot. Residents have an abundant choice of restaurants and bars below. PMQ is just a 2-minute walk away. A new London hotel is claiming to be the first net zero carbon hotel in the world. It looks like a typical boutique hotel room, with stylish furnishings, abstract art on the walls, and a comfy bed for a good night's sleep. But this place has some serious eco-friendly credentials. The bathroom taps limit the release of water, lampshades are made of recycled glass, and the mirrors use locally sourced wood. This is Room 2, a hotel in Chiswick in West London. It's built in response to growing concerns about the hospitality sector's impact on the climate. There are even electric bicycles out front for guests to hire. It's the brainchild of Robert Godwin, who wants to revolutionize the hotel sector by introducing environmentally friendly features. The result is what he claims to be the world's first net zero carbon hotel, meaning it removes as much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as it emits. Technology helps show how guests consume energy. Over the course of time, a basic picture about guest habits is built that allows the hotel to learn how to cut energy and emissions even further. Godwin says 3 infrared sensors make sure energy is not being wasted, switching off lighting and heating when the room is unoccupied. Energy renewal is at the heart of the operation. The hotel relies on its own energy sources for much of its power needs. In warmer weather, the ground acts as a heat sink by taking heat away from the building. This is reversed in colder weather when the ground acts as a heat source to warm the hotel. On the roof, solar panels provide an estimated 11,000 kilowatts of on-site renewable energy each year. The interior combines style and substance. All the furniture was constructed within 10 kilometers of the hotel. The stairwells are covered with carpets made from recycled plastic fishnets collected from the ocean. But the hotel still needs to draw part of its power from the grid. The plan is to cut that by half by 2030.
That's the show. Thanks for watching. Next time on Money Matters, how troubled property developer China Evergrande is affecting the financial world. See you then. Good night.